This town ain't big enough for the five of us. Dillon Gabriel got his shot on Saturday to prove his place in the Browns QB depth chart, ever-changing, and this pick six didn't do him any favors. One of two turnovers for Gabriel. The numbers decent, the giveaways too plenty, as the Browns take a 22-13 victory over the defending champs. Joe Musso and Emory Hunt in studio here to both entertain and compete. Full day for Dillon Gabriel. 13-18, 143, a fumble, a pick six, and some comments taken out of context. What did you make of the day in total for Gabriel?
It was a nice, efficient day. He looked like a guy that can operate the offense. The accuracy on some of those throws, especially the one earlier in that drive on third down where he threw it above the defender and right into the hands to Thrash, where he was able to make the catch and get out of bounds. You like the ball came out quick. You like it was decisive. Move when he have to. So there were some things that you liked. He led a scoring drive, but the turnovers are always going to be those hidden detractors that's going to be like, hey, man, you can't do this. Now we're down big because of this pick six. That's the throw right there that was outstanding. So we saw when it was clean, the operation was where it needed to be, and the ball came out on time. That's what Kevin Stefanski wanted. He wanted to see how he can manage the offense, look great, but the two turnovers is really what doomed him.
Yeah, some learning points, some teaching points, and some learning opportunities here for Dillon Gabriel in his first go as we look at them side by side. Also a teaching point in they're going to take what you say and they're going to turn it into a headline. Said in an in-game interview with Aditi Kinkhabwala that some players are there to entertain, some players are there to compete, but it's not exactly what he said. He was talking about being a competitor and wanting to watch the football game. Had nothing to do with Shedeur Sanders and that ongoing race for a position on that roster. And on that active roster, that's where I want to take you next. Your biggest loser, or one of them coming out of Saturday's play, is one of the names in that room, but neither of those two.
Exactly. One that didn't play, and that was Kenny Pickett. And therein lies the problem. He didn't play. We hadn't seen him in the preseason. Now, we've seen him play regular season football before, but in this battle between Shedeur Sanders, Dillon Gabriel, and Joe Flacco, he has been hurt. So you can say he's incomplete. And if we're basing off what we saw last, Dillon Gabriel's game was efficient. Shedeur Sanders' game was efficient and also had 2 touchdown passes. Why do we need to see Kenny Pickett? Because you know you're going to get Flacco. You know the type of floor you're going to get with Joe Flacco. And if Kenny Pickett is playing essentially how these young rookies that have a lot of college experience are playing, then you can do without the rookie. And now when you think about, okay, can they get assets for him? Where are we short on in certain positions? Maybe we can flip this guy for either a player or another pick in next year's draft. I think that's the loser of this because he hadn't really gotten out there to compete.
And if we do game that out and it is Flacco starting and the 2 rookie quarterbacks in that room, it'll be interesting then to see what the depth chart looks like when you do need the 2 to step up. Who's going to be the 2? Who's going to be the 3? Answers all coming in time. We're going to talk 1 and 2 in the Indianapolis Colts quarterback room. Excuse me. This is sort of that either-or right now between Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones. You have an experienced veteran. You have a young buck who still needs some time. You have these numbers that come out of Saturday's play. It was Jones first and Richardson second as scheduled. The numbers look quite similar. Emory, what do you take away of the 2 performances?
If you're watching Daniel Jones and you're seeing the efficient numbers but not seeing the wow play, therein lies the problem with him in this competition, because you know with Richardson, and what I love about this competition, Joe, and what they did for him and both guys, don't run. Go out there, operate the offense from the pocket in the passing game, and let's see how you progress there. We've seen the progression from Richardson, made some great throws all throughout camp, and he didn't rely on his legs. I think he used his legs once on this particular drive where he was able to scramble up to convert a third down. But it shows you that, hey, I can play from the pocket and use my legs when necessary. I love that he dropped weight. I love that he got a little bit more fluid in his arm movement, which helped with his accuracy, his touch, and his placement. And so all of that being said is that he is clearly playing either equal or slightly above Daniel Jones, which is not good news for Daniel Jones, who's been in the league for 6 years. So you have to be playing better than him, because if it's even, go with the young guy who you've invested a lot of money in and that has tremendous upside. He just has to stay healthy. This looks like rookie year Richardson as opposed to what we saw last year.
Yeah, it was also a step in the right direction. Pre-snap pressure identification was the big issue from game 1 of the preseason. No such issues. We walk away with all digits intact out of game number 2.
Facing the right direction.
Let's get positive here, Emory. Let's keep heading in that right direction. Your biggest winners, you got a trio of them coming out of Saturday's play. Run me through them.
All right, I'll start with Nick Martin, the linebacker out of Oklahoma State. He was phenomenal in college, and he was at the Senior Bowl, but here's a guy today, 6 tackles, a sack, 2 TFLs, and a quarterback hit. And every one of those tackles was an impactful one. He was stopping guys in their tracks out there. And how about Jaxson Dart? 14 of 16, 137, a touchdown pass, and a rushing touchdown. The reason why I liked his day is because he's showing you what development looks like when you have a starter and you're allowing a coach to work behind the scenes with the guy. His guy, Matt Corral, didn't get that opportunity in Carolina.
You didn't have a third Martin for us? Martin Lawrence? Steve Martin?
Keanu Martin is almost.
Keanu Martin, how could I forget?
Keanu Martin. The reason why I saved the best for last, Joe, Keanu Martin is a raging Cajun, and I love the fact that he got out there and he had himself a great day. 3 TFLs, a sack, which led to a safety, the first points of the ball game, a quarterback hit, 2 TFLs. Keanu Martin has been balling in the preseason, but Joe, I am not surprised because all we as Raging Cajuns do is ball in any field.
Little hometown love there.
Yeah, of course.
You got to do it. A nice performance there. Let's get back to the here and now. Some reality setting in as it's not cut down day close, but these are all big data points in these preseason games. I know they're not worth much, but it's worth everything to some of these players trying to make rosters. Another loser in your eyes coming out of this one, Joe Milton leaving something to be desired in game number 2 for the Cowboys.
Right, because we all sat there in the studio in the green room and watched week 18. It was like, man, this dude is balling, right? And then, okay, he gets traded. Like, wow, that's kind of odd. He was a rookie. Now he's on his second team. And then you expect him to go out there and take the reins of the backup job because there's no one to compete with because they traded Trey Lance. So they moved on from Trey Lance. 9 of 18, 122 yards, an interception, and 2 sacks. And what you want to see from Joe Milton, we cannot continue to use he's young, he's growing, because he's been in college for a while. We saw him at Michigan, then we've seen him at Tennessee. He's an older prospect when he came out. You expect him to not be playing like this in the preseason when this job was essentially yours. So now you really have to amp up because you don't want to have Will Grier thinking, hey, he has a chance to come and steal his second place job for you, his QB2 job for you. But I was not impressed with Milton's play in the preseason. I feel like there's flashes, but the consistency hasn't been there like you wanted it to be for a guy of his age.
You often see head coaches and general managers trying to stack similar skill sets in quarterback rooms in terms of their depth chart. So if one goes down, we don't have to change the whole thing for 2. This is a different play style in Joe Milton. The intangibles, the measurables off the chart, the throwing ability, the speed in which he can deliver a football. So much needs to be cleaned up. But I want to go to another place here with the Baltimore Ravens, who often do stack up similar play styles at QB2 behind Lamar, the dual threat to keep the offense rolling until Lamar's ready to come back. That's not really what we're looking at in their depth chart right now, and you're highlighting Cooper Rush here as someone who missed the mark on Saturday.
It's crazy how both guys came from this one game, because you think about what Lamar Jackson had behind him, Tyler Huntley, Josh Johnson, RG3. He had a bunch of guys that had similar skill sets. So when they went ahead and drafted Devin Leary, who hasn't played really well, then you go out and sign Cooper Rush. He hasn't played well. 20 of 30, a touchdown and 2 interceptions. So he has not played well in this game. This was better than last week's performance, but it still wasn't good. And when you think about how well Cooper Rush played in Dallas, and you look at Joe Milton, you're like, man, what if they swap spots? Because Joe Milton in Dallas kind of looked like Trey Lance in Dallas, and it doesn't look good. And so if you're Baltimore and you're looking at your depth chart with Cooper Rush, you feel like you got a limit. Like, man, this is not the guy we saw and sought out to sign in free agency, and Devin Leary is clearly not ready. So having Cooper Rush go into these preseason ball games and not play well in a quarterback-friendly offense with Todd Monken, that's a concern for me, because you have Malik Cunningham, who was also part of that quarterback depth chart, but he's playing receiver right now for the Baltimore Ravens.
I will say this. If you lose Action Jaxson for any extended amount of time, you have lost hope.
Right.
You're just looking for a 2-week stopgap. We'll see if Cooper Rush does occupy the second spot on that Ravens depth chart, but certainly a skill set that left something to be desired here on Saturday. Emory Hunt in the building. We appreciate you as always. Preseason rolls on, and only for so long. The countdown continues. September 7th, it's season 66 of the NFL on CBS. Our NFL Today team leading things off on that morning from Green Bay in anticipation of Lions-Packers.